Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC, Friday Night Fan Forum, the show where up to five guests come on and talk about whatever they want to talk about, something slightly different to any other show that we've got on the channel. So really looking forward to this one for a number of reasons. Let me quickly introduce everybody. Everybody who's watching will know Benny. How you doing, mate? You okay?
I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Before I go on to Yehuda, John Fry, happy anniversary, mate. Nice one. Yehuda, you okay, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Hot. I'm hot. It's quite muggy where I am.
Yeah.
Hello, Kevin. Ben, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good to see you again, John. Nice to be on again.
Yeah, really looking forward to hearing what you've got to say a little bit later. For anyone who's watching who doesn't know Ben, Ben's a bit more of a neutral, not just a Man United supporter, women's football supporter in general. So I can't wait to hear his thoughts a little bit later on a certain somebody who is potentially on the move. Lucas, it's been ages since I've seen you. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. One of my points is going to be about atmospheres and grounds, so I'd be interested to hear what you have to say a little bit about that. Obviously, being a match-going fan yourself, so looking forward to involving you in that one. And Andy, being a bit of a regular on the show now, you okay, mate?
Yeah, you're dragging me in slowly but surely, mate. You must be a charisma.
It's good to have you on finally, because especially like Lucas and Andy, who I used to see pretty much every week up until lockdown, and then all of a sudden we don't see each other again. And obviously that's the wonders of the internet and YouTube to allow us to communicate like we did in the old days, I guess. Okay, so Benny, you start first then. What's your topic for tonight, mate?
Mine's just going to be about realistic expectations for next season as a new season dawns upon us after the Olympics and all the transfer debacle and all that rubbish that's going to come up. I just thought to myself today, what's going to be realistic for us? You know, with a new manager coming in and potentially half a new squad coming in next season, what would be, you know, a good season for us? Would it be consolidating third position again like we did this season? Are we going to allow a little drop off? You know, say if we come fourth, for example. You know, is that acceptable, or do we really need to be pushing for a Champions League place and a trophy? So I just wondering what everybody else thinks towards that. Really,
I'll let you guys answer first. Anyone want to take that one?
For me, I think it's very, very hard to try to guess which way the team is going next season, because we might be looking on starting a new process, you know, a new building of the team, new manager, new ideas, new method, new players. We don't know how the new manager will fit in with the players and vice versa. We don't know exactly how the squad will look like. For me, it's too many questions to be able to determine which way are we going and what are the realistic ambitions, because maybe, you know, another players leave. We're not sure if we can attract better players, because, you know, a lot of players came to United in the early years because of Casey, because of her vision, and because of her man management skills. And now it's like starting fresh, you know. Maybe we will be lucky and have a good manager, and we'll be able to bring good players, but it's like maybe building something from new, because I think that the chemistry that the players had with Casey was something special. And a new manager comes in, we don't know who it's going to be. Another question is the financial aspects, which is what I will talk about later. But there's a lot of uncertainties at the moment. We can talk about what we want. We want third, we want second, we want Champions League, but we don't know really if it's realistic until we see the squad, we see the manager. Again, it's like starting something completely new. So maybe we will get weaker if other players will leave, if the players won't get along with the manager or things like that. So it's very, very hard. We would obviously like to continue progressing and go one place better in the table, but if it's realistic, I can't determine now. It's there's a lot of question to answer this summer, and don't know exactly when we will get the answers, and if it will be answers that we would like. But there's a lot to see developing this summer until we can make an assumption, that is really concrete.
I think you've made a good point there, Yehuda, because I think a lot of this is going to. I mean, before I say anything else, I'm coming to this as a complete neutral. So I'm put my hands up. I'm not a Manchester United fan. I'm coming to this as a women's football fan who's lucky enough to be able to write on the game. From the outside, I would say a lot of what will happen is going to happen because of what your board does or does not say over the next sort of coming weeks or months. Because I think if you want to stay where you are in the league, or hopefully for your sake go up, you've got to attract a good big name head coach. And to be honest, because of the things that Casey's come out and quite rightly said, any experienced top level head coach will have major questions in their minds if Manchester United come looking for them in terms of what facilities they offer, what the situation is with players. And then that will then have a knock on about attracting players, because obviously until you get a head coach, you can't get players in. Who is going to do the recruitment at the time being? I mean, the Olympics are coming up. We're end of July, and clubs are going to be looking at players in the Olympics and seeing who's available out of those players. And if you haven't got a good quality head coach in by that time, it's going to be hard to pick up those players that are catching people's eye in the Olympics. I think your board is going to be the crucial part of what happens next, and the sooner they can say something for your sake positive, the better, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting that the recruitment thing, because we see names come up now, like Oshuala from Barcelona, but is there someone that is planning the recruitment now?
So on that, Yehuda, we do know that Casey's been putting some plans in place way before she left. So there's at least two names that apparently agreed it on paper. But obviously, if the new manager comes in, maybe things would change. But I do believe that there has been some recruitment already, and we plan further ahead. So I do think there's been talks already. However, I doubt 6 names has been spoken, has been signed. So I do agree that maybe some talks have been stalled, or potentially we've already got a manager signed and he's just not been announced yet. We're keeping tight-lipped. We don't know, but I do definitely. I said it myself on a show maybe on Monday, where I says that I'm a little bit apprehensive that nothing's been said just yet. You've got Arsenal and Chelsea making moves in the transfer window. You've got PSG signing a manager. You've got Aston Villa that signed Wardy. There's other clubs out there already that's basically making moves, and hopefully we are making moves. They're just not being spoken about. So I just want to stick with Ben. Just one last thing, as a neutral, and this is a good question, even if I do say myself. Do you think that our best opportunity to finish third was actually last season, when we had a more of a stable squad and we had the likes of Christian Heath, or do you think maybe we can push on from there?
It's one of those great unknowns, isn't it? That is sort of kind of surrounds the club at the moment. I mean, the last time I was on, which I think was probably about January time, I can remember saying to you, you'll guarantee Champions League football this season. And I think, last season, I did not see what happening, because you looked so nailed on. You were really bothering the historic top teams in the division. Arguably you should have beaten Chelsea on the opening day, and the difference that could have made ultimately as the season went on, who knows. I think, last season was a really good opportunity, but you never know. As you say, if a manager is already sorted out, it could be a really positive move that could see, even more bigger names, hopefully, come in, maybe. So who knows?
I'm just going to ask Andy.
Yeah.
Get your opinion on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've not really been called an optimist, but I think that we've got an opportunity, really. I mean, Casey was doing a great job, and I would have loved her to have stayed there, but obviously she's moved on now. And, you could argue possibly that a new manager is what we need, because they're not going to have that emotional attachment of forming the team originally, the original 21, as we talk about, and I think if you look at the WSL, and I've only really been following it, as I say, since United has been formed, apart from City and Chelsea, every other team pretty much seems to have a full player out every year. It's not that rare. And obviously this year, Arsenal have joined the party by also getting rid of a lot of people. So, we want to be part of the top three. We want to build, obviously, onto it. But I think it is a different kettle of fish in the men's game. And I mean, maybe Ben might know this better, but was Joe Montemurro, did he come from Melbourne Victory originally, or Melbourne City before he came to Arsenal? So he went from arguably a lower level league as such, without trying to upset anybody, into the WSL. And so it might be an out of left field appointment, another Australian maybe, or somebody from the NWSL, that might come in and surprise us. And I think we just have to go, going back to Benny's question more specifically, I think we have to look what we were trying to do before COVID happens, and that was to build a fan base to be the biggest in the WSL, to try and eventually fill the Sports Village. And we were getting bigger and bigger numbers. And I think if we can look back in trying to do that, because that doesn't cost any money, it was to get as many people from the men's side and new fans in, we're going to get a bigger noise, we're going to get, a rep. And certainly at the end, pre-COVID, I remember certain players saying basically part of the appeal was playing for us, playing for the Barmy Army, having that support behind you, because a lot of them play in libraries. And I know I know that it's it's spread a little bit this season. You are starting to get more vocal support in other teams. They are responding to it, which is great. But, I mean, that's definitely something that's not really that expensive, that we could use the USP. Come play to us. We have the biggest crowds, or we have the noisiest crowds, and that might help push us on.
Just to draw a line on this topic, then let's just go around and say what are your expectations in the league this season. Just kind of give just like your league for this. And obviously, I appreciate it kind of varies because you don't know what players are going to come in. But as things stand, what's your expectation for next season? I'm going to start. I think we should push for third. I think it's the same as going into last season. We should be pushing for third, aiming for third. But at this stage, if we get fourth, that's again not the end of the world. Ben, do you want to answer your own question on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to look at minimum. The minimum expectation should be where you finish this year. I think that's always got to be the case. I think there's every chance you can break into the top three, because I think if you look at, I think Arsenal are a big unknown for next season, because there's all this talk about the likes of Miedemar leaving. So that's another big target. Anyway, so top three is certainly possible, absolutely.
Benny?
I'm going to say pushing for top three like yourself. Consolidate fourth we have to, but definitely a trophy. We need to win a trophy. Whether it be Conti Cup or FA Cup, we need to win a trophy. So I'm with you, John. Push for third if we can. If not, consolidate fourth, but we definitely need a trophy next season.
Yehuda, are you on that kind of wavelength, or do you think we should be aiming higher, or even a little bit worried that Everton are catching us, so we could drop maybe even further?
Maybe. I think eventually, well, as it seems right now, I think we will fight for a third. Unless we see something drastic in the transfer window. But at the moment, I think City and Chelsea have two bigger squads for us to deal with. So the hope is maybe that Arsenal will also, remain probably the same level. Maybe if Midima actually goes even less than that, so the hope can come from there that we finish. If we finish third, it will be great for us. Finally getting that European spot. It will definitely be progress. So it definitely has to be the aim. And through the season, we will see if we can get higher. But at the moment, I wouldn't bet. There is not enough. Not enough knowledge at the moment to presume that we will finish higher than third. But fingers crossed, there will be good surprises.
Lucas, what's your expectations for next season?
As Benny said, to get that top four secured. But obviously, if we do finish third, or even if we do finish higher as well, as we saw last season when it came to Christmas time and the Christmas break, we were first, and we did get a result against some of the big teams. So it shows we can do it. But I know we haven't got Casey anymore. She was creating something, but then everything just went downhill, and just needs to try to run from there. And if we do get third, I reckon that will bring in some big names as well. And that way, because obviously if we get Champions League, everyone will want to play in the Champions League. And as Benny said as well, we really need to get a trophy under the belt as well.
Yeah, I think so as well. After the fourth season, you'd like a bit more silverware now. Andy, finish up on this subject.
Yeah. I mean, third, as you say, everyone else, that would be definitely ideal. Or if we can't get third, then I think I've said it before, consolidate fourth, but at least get in a final. I'm not even going so far to say it's win a trophy. I mean, I think the Conti Cup's a low-hanging fruit, but just the experience of a finals day we haven't had yet. So, imagine us lot at the Conti Cup. Imagine, obviously FA Cup with Wembley's better, but, maybe aim for that, just get in a final. And I think that would be an experience, and hopefully we can obviously win the trophy.
Lucas, what's your topic, mate?
My topic is transfers. So we need for I like everyone's opinion on this as well. For where do we need to improve? What would you like up front? Would you like an out and out striker? Would you like a target man, someone that creates chances more? And just what sort of depth would you like to get as well? So in my opinion, I would like for the midfielder, an attacking option, I would probably say Bethany England from Chelsea. When I watched some of the Chelsea games, and she was quite good. The movement, she don't really get much game time at Chelsea, but if she did come to Manchester United, I feel like we could give her that game time, which Chelsea don't give her as much. And I reckon she'll be happier, and she might be able to adapt and fit into our team. Alongside that as well, I'd probably say Beth Mead as well, as a strong holding midfielder who's box to box, moving the ball well, can cope with the physical side, and can really test those midfielders among the bigger teams.
I want to bring Ben in on this one then. So those two names have been floating around Twitter. We've spoken about them as well. Beth England with a potential swap deal. We only say that with LJ because obviously if LJ is joining Chelsea, we need a striker as well. So yeah, let's get your view on that one first, Beth England.
So yeah, I mean that's an interesting one because there's been all sorts of talk down here about where Beth's future lies. Realistically, Chelsea probably would not want to lose her because the thing with them is strength and depth. Although I think they need to focus on defence because they don't have defensive strength and depth at all, which will continue to be the undoing at times. I would not be surprised if Beth left. There's been a lot of talk that when she does leave, she's looking to stay in London. that's the talk that has been quite strong down here. But then again, you could argue that because the talk has been said down here, that's what they would say anyway. But you look at it the other way. She's a northern lass. There's no reason why she might want to go back a bit nearer home after some time down here. And I think, to be honest, I think she's exactly the sort of player that you should get because, as I think we've said before, you need to bring players in that will take you to the next level now. The players that you've had have got you where they are, and they've done an incredible job. So now it's gradually, slowly adding that little bit more quality every now and then. And, Beth England is as good as you could get in terms of who's available in the Super League at the moment, I think.
And we had Susan back on the show yesterday, and she's an Arsenal fan, and she will speak a little bit about Beth Mead, saying that it is possible that she might be on the move as well. Could you see both Beths join us, Ben?
It's possible. I mean, I have to be honest, I haven't heard the Beth Mead one. I assumed that she'd be wanting to stay at Arsenal, but who knows? I mean, again, if someone like that comes available, you need to jump in there because again, she's similar to Beth England in terms of the the reputation and just what bringing a player like Beth Mead or Beth England says about your club. It's a statement, isn't it? It's they're kind of like statement signings.
Yeah.
And I think particularly as a result of some of the negativity that's come around out of Casey leaving and why she left, that will be a massive positive plus, not just for you guys as fans, but for how the wider women's game would see your club, I think.
Yeah. Andy, do you want to answer John Fry's kind of comment on screen? He's saying that I think we need an experienced keeper to push Mary, 2 centre-backs, 2 full-backs, one obviously one would be left-footed, which means Older could go onto the right, and 1 CDM and creative players and a goal scorer. There's a lot there, but if you have to think about the amount of players that we could potentially believe in, and what are your thoughts on those kind of positions?
Yeah, just looking at that. I mean, the thing that's missing there is a striker, and we do need one. I mean, I am biased. I love I love Mary Earps, I really do. So I am going to maybe be a bit. We don't need to put, but I still think it's a nice to have, but rather than what we need a striker. And as Ben was saying there, there's sort of 2 ways you can do it. Really, you can either do incremental changes, so the rising tide brings up a boat. The overall squad goes up, which is going to be a slower burn and possibly more difficult with our fan base, especially with a new manager coming in, but maybe more sustainable going forward. Or if you get a couple of these big signings, I mean, these are England players, you might end up in a situation with 2, like with Christian Prethon and Tobin Heath, where we had 2 big signings, but when one got injured, we end up dropping quite quickly down to a core squad that was struggling, and that's why the strikers get, that's why the scouts get the big bucks, I suppose, or the less big bucks would be in the women's game. But I would say that we need to proverbially mortgage the family silver to get an attacker, a defined striker that can score goals, and away from that, I'd like to strengthen our defence. I think there are certain players there that possibly have hit their ceiling with where we are, and possibly need to, kindly go somewhere where maybe that's more appropriate, and then we can bring in. I think it's a great idea. You look at Chelsea; they've got 3-4 players behind every position. Every player wants to play, and maybe look at people that are in the 2nd or the 3rd depth chart and see, well, have a little word in their ear. Are they going to be happy on the bench for Chelsea? Or actually, are they going to have a new lease of life if they come to us? So I think definitely, I mean, I would definitely do with strengthening our defence, possibly by 1 or 2 players, but 100% we need a striker, irrespective of what happens with Lauren James.
Yeah, I agree with that, Andy. And just to finish up on this one, Dennis in the comments, thank you for joining in, Dennis. If we don't get on with next season's preparations, Everton will take 4th place. There's a few people saying that. I know it's still early. It's only the start of June. Season don't start for another few weeks yet. But a few people are talking about Everton. it'll be interesting to see, how the summer finishes. But we're going to move on. I want to talk a little bit about my point, and then after I've said mine, I want to involve Benny, Andy, and Lucas, who come to LSV. I'm wearing my Barmy Army t-shirt today. I just want to talk about atmospheres inside stadiums. So we're getting closer to the time now. When we've been saying this for about 12 months, we're getting closer to the time, but we are getting closer to returning back to the stadium. First day of next season will be absolutely amazing. I can't wait. And I just want to kind of just talk a little bit, just in case there's people who haven't been to LSV before who's watching this. If you've never been to LSV and you've started to learn a little bit about our women's team, you follow them on Twitter, you follow us on YouTube, you've been watching them on MUTV, even if you don't live in Manchester and you live a little bit further away, just come once or twice, just give it a go, because the atmosphere that we create and the rest of the Barmy Army create is second to none in women's football, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. We absolutely love our players. You won't hear any foul language where we're surrounded by kids. We're careful what we say and what we do. We've rewritten like a songbook. I say we. I don't make the songs that other people do, but the songs are family orientated. It's just a good all-round day out, whether it be by yourself. Because I didn't know anyone my first day. I just turned up by myself and got knowing people on Twitter. You could take your family. You could have a day out. It's cheap. It's like £7 a ticket, £40 for a season ticket, I think, roughly. And I just think it's just something that you just need to try. So if you have started to follow them on Twitter, and you've just seen a little bit more now, or when you start watching them on Sky next season, just come to a game. It's cheap enough. You've got to give it a go. What will you see? So obviously we'll be queuing up outside about an hour, 2 hours before kickoff. We'll be singing a few songs, guessing the starting lineup. More and more people will start queuing up. Obviously, it might be different with COVID regulations. I'm not too sure just yet. You'll get to meet some of the loud people who you've probably seen on YouTube. And Natalie, I don't know if she's doing the comments, but Natalie over there singing, you'll probably hear Natalie before you see her. And everyone's really welcoming. So if you don't know anyone, just send us a Twitter message or something before and say, look, I'm thinking about coming up. Can I stand with you? Or just say hello to me or whatever. Just come over. We're all welcoming. When you're in the stadium, you get you see all the players warm up. We'll all be chatting. We'll start making a few videos now that we're doing a few YouTube stuff. And I just think it's a good all-round day out. And I just think that everyone should give it a go. Benny, you've been there since the first season. What can you say regarding the atmosphere in LSV?
It's a very unique atmosphere, mate. I don't think. I mean, we've been to away grounds in the Championship of the WSL. I still don't think there's any home support that matches ours. I think Arsenal, there was decent-ish, I don't know. They've got that. Do forgive me, I can't remember her name. That famous lady that does all the chants for them, and she's quite famous amongst the players. I can't remember her name.
Maria, I think, is it?
Maria, I think that's her name. Yeah. I know there's a couple of teams that might have a famous member or something, but I don't think there's a team that has a group of hardcore fans that go home and away week in, week out, that put on minibuses. The thing I used was, I think the other day, I can't remember what show I was on, but I used the intimidation factor. I don't think there's another ground in WSL that brings you that intimidation factor in terms of fan support. I mean, we are a pretty intimidating bunch. Do you know what I mean? I think we've had goalkeepers complaining about us. Not in a bad way. It's not nothing. We're not saying anything bad to them or anything, but I think it's just the fact that we're so loud. We're banging on boards. We're trying to put them off and what have you. Just trying to intimidate the opposition just a slight bit. It's just something that a lot of them are not used to. Opposition wise. We like to have a bit of a banter. It's something that we bought from the men's game, and I'm sure the teams will start catching on. Chelsea, we went to Kings Meadow. It's a while ago now, isn't it? Because of COVID, but went to Kings Meadow. I will admit that when we started chanting, we took their ultras end, this so-called ultras end of theirs. Took over that, and if that was a proper ultras end, you wouldn't let an away team take over you at that end. I tell you, But fair play to some Chelsea fans. There's a group there next to us, about 4 or 5 of them that tried their best to outsing us and get some atmosphere going. So, fair play to them. There is some team. To be fair, mate, because the way we are, even if we're away from home or at home, there is some games that opposition fans see that as a bit of a challenge. Oh, look at United, they're bringing a bit of atmosphere. We're trying to start ours. And yes, it might be a small number of them for a start. You know what I mean? And then it sort of grows a little bit. And that's all I want to see, really. To be fair, just having a bit of a banter between opposition fans. The best ones, in my opinion, is when me and Nat went to Crystal Palace away, because they were giving it back to us. And it was only me, Nat, and 3, maybe 4 others. And there was only a little group of us anyway that travelled to Palace away that day. But the Palace home fans were giving it back to us just as much as we're giving it to them, which is what I want, which is good to see. Just a little bit of friendly banter between rival fans, or opposition fans. But and I think that's where we struggled this season. I think second half of the season, especially, having no fans there. And I mentioned it on Matt's video. That's what it was. Matt's video on Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was. Tuesday. And I said, I don't think we would have been as sloppy as we were second half of this season. The season just gone. If the fans were there, because I think we'd have shouted player on, man on, or whatever you want to, whichever way you want to shout. We'd have got behind them. We'd have told them they're not doing too well. You know what I mean? So they've upped their games. You know what I mean? I think it's been missed about all of football. And like I said on Matt's Tuesday show, you look at the playoff finals at Wembley. Was it 20,000? I think there at Wembley, because of how big it is. Absolutely fantastic. The support has been ridiculously fantastic. And as you said, John, I want to touch upon that. Anybody that was watching this, never been to a game, get yourselves down. It's only a few quid ticket. It's a cheap family day out as well. So if you've got a family, you can't afford to take them to, say, Old Trafford because it's overpriced and it's just not doable for you. Get yourself down to the Sports Village. I think they do family season tickets as well, which ends up being quite cheap the whole season. I can't remember how much it costs. Like somebody probably know, but it's a good family day out. Just get yourselves down there, sample the atmosphere. Even if, as you said, John, even if it's just 1 or 2 games, if you can only make a couple of games a season, just get yourselves down, just sample the atmosphere. And let's just keep on building upon it, because the more and more we build upon it, and the bigger, we could. Sorry, not the bigger, but the more we could attract people to Leeds Sports Village week in, week out, to grow our numbers. You don't have to be a fully fledged member of the Barmy Army to join us. Just come and join us. Just come and stand next to us. You don't have to have some sort of a membership card to go, look, can I join you? Just come and join us. You know what I mean? And if you want to join the membership later on, join the membership later on. It's free to do so. I think there's a paid membership as well where you get certain perks. But even if you don't want the membership or anything, even if you just think, look, I'm going to make my own way to games away from home and at home, but we'd like to come and stand next year, we're not going to beat you out because you're not signing up for the Barmy Army membership. Yeah. Just get yourself involved. Everybody's friendly. Natalie's a little bit crazy. You'll see her jumping up and down and singing and screaming, But that's just our Nat, though, isn't it? You get used to it. But honestly, just get yourselves down and you'd love it. You love the atmosphere, just that alone now, just shut up and let other people speak. I've gone about it all day.
Well, Andy, you got through your fair share of games, more than your fair share. What's your thoughts?
I think basically I went to every game that I could after the, I think it was first half of the first season. And I can't echo, to be honest, I can't echo more what Ben said and what yourself has said about LSV. And just a little bit about how I got involved. I don't have a history in the men's game at all. I started watching men's football, and I noticed that United were forming a team at the same time, and I went on my own. I literally went on my own, and almost like if you had like a time-lapse camera, you would see me sitting further away from the Barmy Army and then slowly move, surely closer and closer and closer, not only until I started standing with them, and now obviously I'm a member and involved with what they do. And I mean, that's what appeals to me, because I think very quickly when I saw is that, you know, these female players were children like boys, obviously, and they also wanted to play in front of a crowd shouting their name, you know, and they want, you know, and why do people play football? And I think what motivated me and moved towards, you know, the Barmy Army was that we do generate that atmosphere, and you actually can tell. I mean, you can actually watch them kick on when you actually start like doing a support chant to Leah Galton or something like that. And I think it's been mentioned in previous articles by, you know, different players that the players actually liked that one, and they used to sing it to themselves in the warm-up. And that was something that I read on Man United's website. And I think it's just important. It is a very difficult thing to do on your own, especially if you've not got a history of going to the game, you know, under the men's side or whatever. But I can just sort of tell you about my experience, and everybody, you know, has made me extremely welcome. And you know, Nat is crazy, and I love her. Ben isn't that far behind, mate, and I think you're great as well. And I think, you know, I think it's amazing how you do get a bit of a bug when you start following them, and probably need to phrase that differently in COVID, don't I? You get a buzz from it, you know, and I think you do, you know, it is a nice experience because these players care that I'm not saying that the men's team don't, but you can, you know, certainly pre-COVID, you know, we've spoken to a lot of the players, we've had pictures taken, you know, they actually do have an interaction with you, and you do feel a bit more sort of part of them and part of the team, and that you have an input going forward. And obviously, I think just finally, because like Ben, I can talk for England on this. You know, as an LGBT person, and obviously with being Pride Month, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that, you know, it is an extremely inclusive group of people, you know, and I've never had any issues whatsoever. You know, I've been welcomed with open arms, and I would say, you know, if you're LGBT or if you're not, you know, obviously not, then just make that first step. Go on your own. We guys will, you know, if you feel like messaging us, you know, we will make, you know, we'll always make ourselves available to help people who feel a bit nervous. And you'll probably find after a couple of games, you'll be shouting louder than me at the referee.
That's nice to put, Andy. Thank you. I think that was great. Yeah, Lucas, you come to every home game. You stand in at the same kind of stand as us, but you sit like at the very front, don't you, by the dugout? So you got a great view there and listening to what Casey used to have to say. What's your thoughts of the atmosphere at LSV?
The atmosphere, for anyone that's never ever been before, is literally, we're like a big family. There's never any criticism, no hate. We support everyone. We stand by each other. And being in that stadium, even if it's not a big stadium, usually the small stadiums have a better atmosphere because it's more compact. And if you feel the need to, like, you know, like, if you don't want to, like, you know, chant by yourself, go stand at the back, you know, speak up, and say, like, I'm always available for anyone to message me if anyone, you know, a bit conscious about going to a game or something, or anyone in the Barmy Army as well. Anyone on here, literally, like, the whole fan base of people that support the United women's team are just as one, and we're going to support anyone that wants to come and support the game, and that wants to support the women's team when coming to LSV. And I would very much, what's the word? I forgot the word. It's not coming to me yet. What's the word now?
Basically, we'd all be welcoming and
yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah. Welcome to LSV, yeah.
Ben, I want to bring you in because we've only got 20 minutes left for your topic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of linked to what we were saying earlier about potential rivals at the club. I've noticed centre back has cropped up on some of people's requests. again, I guess it's subject to new manager and all the rest of it. But I would just like, for your sake, to throw Allana Kennedy out there as a centre back. I don't think Super League hasn't seen the best of her because for some bizarre reason Spurs played her at 6. And anyone that knows anything about the Matildas will tell you that Allana Kennedy is not a number 6. She has played midfield. She plays it okay, but she is a centre back. And I think anyone that's seen her play for quite a while will tell you that she is potentially a world-class centre back. And obviously, she's available. She's left Tottenham, which I think Tottenham was a bit of a strange move. I think there was a few Matildas that made a few strange moves to England. They came across because they had an opportunity. I think Van Eggen going to West Ham was a strange one. It looks like she's going to go to PSG, which is a lot more suitable for her in terms of her standing in the game. But I think Kennedy is, as a centre back, is better than a Tottenham team, and I think she would be a really good signing if you can play her as centre back as opposed to 6.
So on that then, Ben, because I'm really interested in this one. I think this is from what I'm learning. I think from what we need and what could happen, i.e., Amy Turner potentially going to the States. I think we need a centre back. Definitely. I don't know how good Kennedy is. I've hardly seen her play, so I'm not going to say that I do because I don't. But obviously, I know that you follow her a lot. So, do you think she's kind of on the same level as what we've got now, or do you think? You tell me where do you?
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it's awkward because anyone who's seen her in the Super League will have seen her play basically midfield for Tottenham. And the Australian media and the Australian women's football family have been doing their nut all season because there's a massive audience out there watching Super League in the middle of the night in Australia, and they are absolutely doing their nut that Tottenham have wasted her 6 all season. So, but you could make the argument if she comes in and plays centre back for you, then if you need cover in the midfield, then that could come into the equation because obviously yes, you would have played there. She's played World Cup, she's played Olympics, she's played top level in USA as well as winning the W League a couple of times when the W League was a lot stronger than it currently is. And as Vicky's just said there on the comments, she's an ideal age. I think again that would be a really good signing that can take you to the next level because potentially she's a hell of a lot of a better player than the English league has seen so far, I think.
There was a second point that you wanted to make as well, so carry on that second topic as well, Ben.
Remind me, I've gone blank. Second topic.
I think he said something before the show about was it about like a new manager coming in, or like it's going to be hard to maybe get transfers and stuff until that new manager comes in.
Yeah, I mean that's the situation with any club, isn't it? You need a head coach to attract players in, because for players, a lot of the time players will buy into the ethos of the head coach in terms of, their track record and how they look to develop them further as players, and things like that. I think, you're from an outsider, I would say that your board needs to come out and make some kind of public statement about how they've addressed the concerns that Casey made to them, how they're going to make the changes that are absolutely necessary, and how they're not going to, trying to find a diplomatic word to use here, but not messing up the massive opportunity that there is to add a fourth top powerful team in the English league, which everyone can see is there. But at the moment, there's this bizarre situation where it could go one way or another unless your board comes out and addresses the problem, I think.
Yeah. John Fry there. Yes, Fry is similar to your surname, so that means we must have Maria Fry as our new manager because it sounds like John Fry. Absolutely. We're going to move on to Yehuda's topic. What's yours, mate?
Well, it's not optimistic, I'm afraid. But the thing that bothers me, and since Casey, at the moment Casey left, it's not just losing a manager that was with us for a few seasons, but for me it felt like the poison around the men's team, around the club. has gotten through to the women's team because of the way that everything was supposedly handled, because how she left, and the fact that maybe there wasn't enough effort done to keep her at the club. And all the stories that we heard about the facilities that are not they're not good enough. And checking the numbers and everything that happens, it seems like I know that some fans expect signing of the men's team of Sancho and everything like that, but it seems like there is no money invested in anything that. Not only in the teams, in the infrastructure of Old Trafford, even the door that the fans broke in the protest, they haven't fixed it yet. There's issue with the swimming pool and things like that. And you see, I don't know, maybe I'm overreacting a little bit, but it seems like there's maybe a danger that that the owners are losing interest at all in not only in the first team, the men's team, but also in the women's team. And it doesn't seem like they said yesterday, today in the fans forum that there was they sent they told the regular slogan, the generic stuff that you could expect from them, but I don't see any sign that there's gonna be any investment that will take us forward. And the fact that they let the process with Casey and the team stop like that, and the fact there's a big uncertainty now about who's the manager, players, which way is it going. Things are not getting done. It doesn't seem like there's anything moving in the right direction. So for me, it's a little bit worrying. And I spoke with some fans from the Glazers out movement. Some of them even possibly think that the club is on its way to bankruptcy because the owners are not putting in any money now to fix any problem. So it's a sign that if you don't put any money on your business, so you're probably trying to get rid of it somehow, or trying to minimize the damage that because they're not putting in money from their own pockets. If there were intentions to do something, they already needed to do it like straight after the new Casey left. There should be already plan in place to put a new manager, or to at least made it clear to the fans that okay, this is where we're going. This is the process now. We want next year to be top two, aiming for a title. There's nothing, no voice is heard at the moment from the club, and it feels like it feels like the women's team are getting infected in the Glazer poison, and we might suffer from it. That is my worry. I don't know. You can share if you have the same feeling or the same concerns, because for me it looks worrying.
Well, obviously I speak to Ben and Andy quite a lot since we've been doing the show, so I kind of get their feelings on like the whole Casey leaving and why she left. Lucas, I haven't spoken to you about it, but what are your thoughts on the fact that Casey left because of what's going on behind the scenes and not being maybe not really up to Casey standards? What are your thoughts on that whole scenario?
Honestly, the whole club of United is a big shambles right now, and we're not a club anymore. We're a business. We're literally a business. I hate the Glazers with a passion, and I really wanted to go to those protests, with me not having my COVID jab or anything, I could not take the risk. But with all that movement, I was constantly on Twitter, tweeting out. I think I tweeted out about 250 times in like 3 days. I was literally crazy about it. It was they annoy me so much. And just seeing the club I grew up with supporting from when I was like 5 or 6 to now to seeing it be like destroyed, it's just out of order. I despise it.
Was you surprised when KC handed in a notice?
Yeah, because I wasn't too sure what the facilities were like for like the women's team, and then I found out what it was like, and I was like, that's so unsportsmanlike, and it's not like United. Before we had the Glazers, if we got a new team, we should be backing that team as well as the men's team. We are literally United, and any team, we got academy teams, we got men's teams, women's teams, all be supported the same, and we should always be given the correct facilities to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I know you've done a comment in the comments that you want to touch on. Do you want to speak about that, and then your final topic?
Yeah, I mean, I just noticed what Vic was saying about, obviously, hopefully now they're going to have to sort of basically put some stuff into action. Now, obviously, there's people on here and there's people that know a lot more about United than I do and have the history, in relation to Glazers. I firstly think that there's no way we're going bankrupt. I just want to knock that one out of the park straight away. I think that the very worst case scenario is that it's going to get sold to somebody else. My other passion is NFL, and I know the Glazers through their work with Tampa Bay, in the sense of what we see on the American side of things. And they have a heck of a lot more fan engagement. They do a Christmas speech. They do an end of season chat to the fans. They're a heck of a lot more involved. So it's definitely, I think, fair to say that their heart isn't in our owning United, and that's wrong, because anybody who owns this club needs to love this club more than or equal to most of the fans. I think that I think that it's obviously it is a business model in football, and I know it hurts people like that, but I think I hope we're going to get some improvements. I would like to say, trying to take emotion out of it, that women's team is cheaper than the men's. There's possible quick hits that they could do from a purely heartless perspective to actually improve things a lot cheaper than looking at the main men's team, which I appreciate would make everybody happy. I'm just trying to think of it from a business perspective. And I think, I think it probably is more significant than people are saying. That one of the Glazers, I think it was Joel, was involved in the fan forum today, because he didn't have to be. And so hopefully that sort of thing is starting to be broken down. But just to quickly touch on the topic that I was bringing in, I just think, like we've discussed about transfers and about next season and the consolidation that might be needed and such like, I think we need to think about the captaincy. And I think that traditionally the captain is your sort of, it's your union rep of the dressing room, isn't it? It's a liaison between the manager and the rest of the players. And I think another thing that's quite traditional is that, your captain is the first name on the team sheet. And, and I have seen, I have been a bit surprised at Katie Zellen's performances this season. A lot of the time she's not been making the starting 11. So I suppose my question is, if we need a new captain who is more likely to play more often, and if obviously the captaincy is really important to link with the manager, wouldn't this actually be a good opportunity to put it under review, and let the new manager possibly appoint a new captain? Because I think the main benefit for that is that Katie Zellem is a United player. And, you've got, for want of a better word, a nice cover here where new manager, you might have the opportunity to make a change without it sticking out too much and making Katie's head go down. It would not be an easy conversation, but maybe we have the cover to change if we need to. And personally, I think we need to.
I want to bring Benny in on that one, but just before I do, there's a question here, and I just want to quickly answer it. We've got 6 men talking about women's football. Any tips for more male fans into supporting women's teams? For me, it's got nothing to do with the gender. It's got nothing to do with black, white, home grown or abroad. If you're wearing a Man United badge, I'm supporting you. So it doesn't matter to me. I chose to watch our women's team, not because they're women, it's purely because it's another Manchester United team. And like I say, it was affordable, and I just wanted to start watching them. So for me, it doesn't matter if it's women's football or men's football. If you're wearing the Man United badge, I'm watching it. So that's the advice I would give. If you're a Man United supporter, to support all the teams, not just one. Benny, do you want to kind of come in on that regarding the captaincy there? Would this be a good time to change if there needs to be a change? Possibly,
mate. Possibly. But then again, do leaders on the pitch need a captain's armband? It's just an armband. You know, there should be more leaders than Katie Zellum on the football field. And towards the back of the last season, I saw loads of heads go down straight away. And you look at it like Amy Turner, that experience as a captain. You know, Millie Turner, that could be captain material. Jackie, that could be captain material. Where were any of them picking the players up? Because the heads went straight down in some of the games, mate. You know, leadership is not something that you just, you know, you could just sort of say, "Oh, that's a leader." You know, it's got to be from within. It's got to be somebody that really wants to be a leader, that really wants to take a team by the scruff of the neck. I.e., in the men's team, Bruno Fernandes. Excuse me, for example. You know, you look at him, you look like a leader there. You know, he cares. You know what I mean? He tries his best. Yeah, things might not come off, and he had a dour. He had a dour end of the season himself. Like, you know, he looked knackered. But you know, I just look back at it and I look at the men's team. Remember when we had Ashley Young was club captain, but hardly ever played. And then we had another on-field captain, you know. It was shared about, to be fair. One Matter had it. Rashford had it. De Gea had it. You know, I just don't know if having the captain's armband is the be-all or end-all these days. You know, I think leadership on a football field needs to come from more than one person. You know, you need a group of leaders. And you look back at all the men's teams, successful men's teams over the years, there wasn't just one leader. There wasn't just Roy Keane. There was a group of leaders. You had Peter Schmeichel. You had Ryan Giggs. You had David Beckham. You had Paul Scholes. You had Rio Ferdinand. You had Steve Bruce. You know, Eric Cantona. They're all leaders, you know. Armband or no armband, you know. I just think it's a very interesting point that Andy brings up, though, to be fair, though, because I don't think she's had her strongest season either last season. And who would you give it to, though? You know, who deserves it, man? You know, I've not really seen anybody that's a standout candidate. Maybe people might say Jackie, but I don't know, man. I still saw heads go down even when Jackie Cronin was on the field. It needs to be somebody that really wants that armband bad and wants to lead the team bad for me. I don't know, man. I'm not seeing anyone that screams out leader to me in this team. You know, Amy Turner could possibly be one, but again, she was another one that was involved in defeat. So towards the back end of the season, I'm looking at that. No, you need someone up there G'ing them up. You know, proper getting into them. You know, like this. I don't know, man. Maybe somebody could come in, maybe with a bit more experience. That might go. You look at that, might go captain material. But I don't know, man. It's one of those, mate. Does it really need a change? Yeah, possibly. Maybe it needs a fresh outlook on it, maybe. But as I said, I hardly see anybody there that screams leadership to me. You know, I don't know. Karen just put in there, aiming to also puts everything into the game. Not questioning that. Not questioning that at all. But what I will say is that heads went down even when Amy Turner was on the field. Her head went down as well. I was there, watched it when Man City scored their third goal. But everyone's heads went down. Not one of them was there trying to G everybody up. You know, you can't do that as a captain of Manchester United. Do you think Roy Keane was there with head down, 3-0 down? No, he'd been one of them that's giving you a kick up the backside. Same with Nemanja Vidic, you know, all his captains that are great captains over the years in United's history. You need to have that certain characteristics, and I just don't see any of it at the minute. Hopefully, I proved wrong, by the way. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of an anomaly, like, but yeah, I'm with Andy. Maybe a fresh outlook on the captaincy could be good, but as I said, I just don't see anybody that screams out leadership to me.
So to be fair, it's a fair point. I mean, I think maybe, and consider that, as you say, modern football has many leaders. I mean, maybe we could get it to use it in a way to get a new Katie Zelland. So when the new manager comes in, you say, right, okay, it's up for review. Do you want to win it back? And maybe if she wins it back, you know, you could end up with, you know, that kind of player we originally saw. And, you know, and we wouldn't necessarily know this. It'll all be done privately. But, you know, you could use it to almost refresh Katie as well as the people that are coming in.
Absolutely. That's a top point, Andy. Absolutely. I totally agree with you there.
We've been going for an hour, so we are going to call it a day. But before we do, Ben, you're not on here very often, so please just shout out your socials and where you do your writing and all that kind of stuff, just in case people want to get hold of you.
Yeah, thanks. So my personal feed is at Ben Gilby1, and I write on the FAWSL correspondent for Beyond 90 AU, which is Australia's lead independent women's football platform, and I write on Western Australian and South Australian football for them as well. And I also founded Impetus Football, which is a women's football website over here, which covers the game at all levels down to sort of tier 7, tier 8, as well as some overseas stuff as well. So yeah, but it's been great to be on again, and I love the passion. And if your passion can transfer back into positivity at the club ahead of next season, then you've got no worries.
Thanks for that, Ben. Yeah, I'm definitely passionate. It's great to host this show because the only people that come on are really passionate, and 9 times out of 10 we are positive, unless if we have got something major to moan about, and it's not usually about players, it's usually about people above the players. It's like, you know, it needs a good moan at. Lucas, thank you for your first time on the show, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully I can get on for some more as well.
Andy, Yehuda, Ben, thank you for coming back on again, and we shall see you again on tomorrow night. Ben, is it your show with Matt tomorrow night?
It is, mate, yes, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, live on the old YouTube, mate, yes, of course. We'll be discussing about Murto and his meeting with the fans forum, well, not fans forum, but the fans, our Barmy Army fans, you know, forum. He met with them the other day, so we'll be just discussing that, getting Matt's thoughts on that, and also going into transfers as it is coming up to silly transfer season. So me and Matt will be going into that a bit more, and then a bit more into our managers as well, potential managers, we would say. So yeah, just plenty to discuss and whatever else that me and Matt can think of between now and 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
I'll be shooting in to watch it, absolutely. Thank you very much, Karen, and we shall see you again soon.